Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is my first 3 or 4 travel days. Okay, so my first flight was a flight to Montreal. Not too long of a flight. The seat next to me was open, which was nice, and I got a little shortbread cookie and some apple juice. Once I landed in Montreal, it was dinner time, so I went to get some sushi, and I got a midday square, which is like a peanut butter square with chocolate on top. I forgot to film my second flight, but it was an overnight flight to London Gatwick, so I had to take the train to Brighton when I landed, and that's where I stayed overnight in a hostel. Okay, while I was in Brighton, I went to the Royal Pavilion. It has really good, cool gardens, and I just walked around. And then I went to the gift shop and I got some postcards. So I went back to my hostel and then I started writing the postcards. And then I went for a walk again to the post office so I could ship those postcards to my family. And then on the way back, it was a nice little walk. It was still raining a little bit, but then I got this delicious crepe. And then the next morning, I had to take a flight really, really early at like 6:30 in the morning, and this was so cool because I had the entire row to myself. It was pretty much an empty plane. I don't know what was going on. And then once I landed, I had to take a bunch of trains, like a whole bunch of trains through the Italian countryside, and it was so pretty. And I was in Trentino, which is like one of the northern provinces of Italy. Okay, ignore how I look because I haven't slept in 3 days, but the train that I just took, that one there, I got to the end of its route because it only went most of the way to where I wanted to go. So now I have to wait an hour for the next one because the next one goes further apparently. So hopefully that's not too long. And then I just went into this cafe because literally the only thing that's open. The sandwich that I had was really good, but it was like that big. Only €1.50, but still. Like I haven't eaten anything in 24 hours because planes, trains, bus a little bit, and cabs. No food. Anyways, yeah. Okay, I'm just editing the video and I realized I forgot to film this entire next part. So that train did end up coming, and then I landed in this random little train station in a really small town, and I needed to take a bus from that train station to where I was going to stay. And then the bus didn't come, and so there was another bus that came, and I asked the bus driver if he could drop me off where I needed to go, and he was like, yeah, sure, just hop on. And I didn't have a ticket, but he was like, yeah, whatever, just get on. I was like, okay, cool. So he brings me to this place and he parks and he tells me to just wait 5 minutes. I'm like, yeah, where else am I going to go? So I start to wait, and then a bunch of kids just run onto the bus and they were screaming and they were just being kids. And I realized that this is a school bus, but it was a coach. So this is not in Canada, nobody does this. But apparently in Italy, the coaches drive the kids home from school. So all the kids were there. They were like, who are you? What are you doing? They were just looking at me all funny. And then I get off at the bus stop that I needed to get off at, and I start walking to where I'm going to stay. It was this person's house with their whole family. And then I realized that the kids in front of me are the kids that are staying at that house with me. And then I get to the house and it's really not what I was expecting at all. It's not what the pictures looked like. And and the person who was supposed to the host wasn't there, so it was just the kids. And then one of the kids just told me to come in, and he didn't he was like, oh, who are you? What's your name? And I explained what was going on, and he's like, oh, okay, cool. Do you want to see your room? And I was like, okay, great. And then he brings me to the room, and it was just this really small room. It was cold. It just really wasn't what I was expecting at all. I was expecting it to be way more comfortable, a little bit cozy maybe, but yeah, no, it was dark, it was cold. I just was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to stay here for a month. And then the dad got there and he showed me everything. It was still not what I was hoping for. But yeah, no. And then he brings me up to the kitchen. It was like a really messy house, but he brings me up to the kitchen and he told me that his wife wasn't there, so I was gonna have to do all the cooking, which I was not told about beforehand. So anyway, it was just not what I was expecting, and I called my mom and I was like crying and I was just like, what do I do? So I ended up leaving the next morning and I let him know, and everything was okay. He was very nice about it. So I had to do that entire travel day backwards, but even further actually, because I ended up coming here to Florence. So this is like, I think I have some videos, so I'll put them here. So we made some connections, and one of my friend's parents had a student that now lives here, and she is so nice, and she's kind of just showing me around, and she was amazing. So that's where I'm at now. And yeah, so the Florence video will be out next week, I think. But yeah. This is what happens.